But then you have to factor in officials. Why is it feels like officials favor the home team? It's a fact that you're going to get more calls when you're at home.
Yeah, that's the case. I always found the best officials that I ever worked with were the ones that didn't let the crowd affect their calls. Guys like Steve Javie, Monty McCutcheon, guys like that. They just were solids. Scott Foster's another one that comes to mind where he makes the right call no matter what. He's not influenced by the fans. He's not influenced by the momentum and the emotion of the game. They just make the call, and they make the call when they see it. So, that's what the NBA is trying to get to. At the same time, sometimes you can't hear yourself think in certain moments in those games. It's so loud in those arenas. So maybe officials, they see things one way, but the noise and the crowd is making their minds foggy, and they might get calls wrong. Listen, their jobs are tough. Those L2Ms, when they come out, you see those plays in real time. And then once you dissect them over and over and over, I think that's the only reason maybe they get some of those calls wrong. I think the officials are doing as much as they can to get the calls right. They're the best officials in the business that I've seen in any sport and any level of basketball. So there is some element of human error, and you have to just go by with what they say.
Okay, you don't have to mention any names. I mean, you can, but an official where you go, you know what? He's favoring this player or this team.
There's not, in my experience, there's never been any officials that are like that.
Wait, you never thought like Jordan was getting too many calls, like Kobe?
No,
Never.
no. Honestly,
Phantom calls where you're going, wait a minute, nobody touched him.
no. I played 10 years in the NBA. I think I got 5 technical fouls. I just believed that the officials, the NBA, gets the best in the business. They're trained, to the highest of level. I will say one thing about when I played compared to now. I think there's a lot of turnover in officials. So some of the officials are not as experienced, so they haven't been in big moments. Like some of the more experience, like experience is the most important thing in an official, in my opinion. But I used to go out there and trust their judgment. I used to play the game. I used to, not be a flopper. I used to believe that, you go out there and you just play your game. Those guys that complain all the time to the officials, if I put myself in an official's shoes, I would be like, just leave me alone. Let me do my job. Like, you're not going to influence me one way or another by just every time I blow the whistle running over to me and needing to have a conversation with me. I don't need that.
Were you trying to get calls by being a nice guy is what you're saying? So you took the opposite approach. Like, all right, I'm going to suck up to these guys. Hey, Scott, nice call there. And you pat him on the rear end. Was that
like
you, guy?
Like, if you notice, a lot of European players, this is one thing, my dad played for Real Madrid in Europe. So when he got called for a foul, he would raise his hand. He'd be like, that foul was on me. He'd look over to the scorer's table. He'd try to help out the scorer's table. That was his attitude. Like, these guys have a really tough job, okay? Obviously, these calls, some of them can go 50-50. There's a reason why we have replay and challenges, which I think is a great addition to the NBA. I think we should add more challenges for the coaching staff because it's so tough to get those calls right, and you have to get those calls right in a close game with so much on the line in these playoff games. So my attitude was that, I think officiating has been, suspect at times, but for the most part, it's as good as you're going to get it in an emotional game and a physical game like that. And you got to live with the decisions of those officials.